The Radio Forest Podcast.
Forrest, James Young from the rock band Styx.
Rock band Styx. Welcome, James. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. The sun is shining here in Chicago, and sky is blue, and probably not quite as clean and clear as yours, but it's still sunshine at this time of the year is welcome.
Tell me about growing up in Chicago, just the music hub that it was. I know you've seen like a lot of impressive bands live. The Who, you were front row. You've seen Hendrix a handful of times. Talk to me real quick about the music scene in Chicago as a young music fan.
Well, I mean, Chicago was known for jazz for, decades before, rock and roll came about. And really rock bands it was more of a pop thing in a sense, with the bands like the Crying Shames and the Buckinghams, who did make records prior to Styx getting a recording contract. Those guys were a generation older than us. But ultimately, when things started to shift towards, classic rock and what we were doing, we had a shot and started working closely with them and loved doing what I do for a living. I feel blessed, and we've had a heck of a run, and keeps going. People still are coming out to our concerts, and they're not walking away. So it's I don't know. I'm having fun at my job.
And what was Hendrix like? I've seen video, I've seen footage from Woodstock, I've listened to live albums released after he passed. But what was he like as a musician, as a performer, as a connector to the crowd? With you seeing him 5 times, you probably had a pretty good sense of who he was on stage.
Oh, well, I mean, he was, just crazy good. He sort of, I think he kind of took R&B electric guitar playing, but psychedelicized it is what he did, and that whole time is when the whole psychedelic music kind of came in, and he tied into that with his sound effects and whatever. But I mean, he was a great player. I think he was a great composer. So I think I was as close as the fifth row at one point in time at one of those shows, and I don't know. There was I'll never forget it.
Were you already a fan by the time he became popular, or was there this huge buzz and everybody knew you should see Hendrix? Do you know what I mean? Or were you like early to the shows, like, dude, you're telling people about Hendrix? There
was one of my musician buddies in Chicago who was really into the the American blues and just the whole blues scene. And then when the blues scene sort of turned psychedelic, he was right there with it. And and he was a pretty good guitar player. And but I don't know. When I heard Hendrix and had a chance to see him up close, I just played my guitar, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. I couldn't do that every day, but that's when I really. Because my family was all musical, and we all the 5 kids were forced to take piano lessons, and I got to a point with them, and my oldest sister actually was good enough to sight read and become a church organist, but my other siblings all kind of got into it, and my brother became a bass player as well in one band that I had before Styx, and so it's I don't know. Those days were just crazy wonderful, and the tastes were shifting dramatically, and the pop songs that had come around before the turn of that century. Very much more mainstream, whereas Hendrix came along and he sounded like he was from the third moon of Mars.
Now, you guys released a new album this year, and you're out on tour with Loverboy. How far back does the relationship with Loverboy go?
Well, I mean, they've opened for us on occasion, going back into our heyday. and then they sort of that's when they kind of came into and got a chance to get in front of a big audience, thanks to our manager and our booking agent, who were they were trying to build Loverboy into a really great, strong live act on stage, which they were. So we really didn't hang with them, but we were the headliner, and then we lived in Chicago, and then most of them I think were from the Northwest. I'm not sure exactly, but I thought Loverboy was maybe from like Washington or someplace out there, Washington State, I should say. But in any event, we were they're a great band, and so we're happy to have them with us, and I'm just happy to be back out on stage, and that people, after all these years, are still moved by our music and are pressed by our music and want to come out and see us perform it live. So that's the biggest pat on the back you can get, just about. And I don't know, I love playing. I mean, being in the studios is one thing, but it can be tedious. But you get out on the stage and people are screaming and yelling, and hooting and hollering, and jumping up and down, and people from the opposite gender are smiling at you. They're on the ground and I'm on the stage. So this is what I always wanted to do, and I was blessed to be in the right spot at the right time with the right gifts, because my family is musically gifted, but I had a younger brother that was in a band that I got a deal for a while, but I don't know, Styx, after all these years, is still people want to hear Styx music. They want to see us play it. They want to want to hear about it, and we worked hard to get here, and I feel blessed that our music has touched so many people.
Yeah, I think Loverboy, I think they're from Calgary, but let's talk about Ace Frehley real quick. You guys opened up on the Kiss Love Gun tour in '77. Do you remember back to what that was like opening up for Kiss? They're just massive in '77.
No, well, we I think the first thing, we had established ourselves before they came on the scene, so we wound up headlining the first time Kiss and Styx were on the stage, but then we had different management or whatever, and their management took them in a different direction, and more success with our records certainly than they did. But I mean, live they were a unique and powerful force that I would put a smile on my face. And I didn't talk much to those guys, but I mean, Gene Simmons is real good, real easy to talk to, and he's a businessman as well as a talented, skilled musician. And we go. It was those were good days.
I imagine different members of different bands handle it differently when a band that you headline for ends up headlining and you're opening for them. What are the emotions of that as a professional band when you've gotten bigger first and had a bigger album? How does that come about? Is that a slow process, or Kiss, was that overnight?
Well, I mean, our first records came out before they actually had put records out, and we'd heard about them from afar, and we were on the circuit, playing in front of 1,000 here, a couple thousand there, maybe 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 there, and Kiss was building their audience, but they were with all their special effects, they're more like they were a carnival act as much as they were, and which is fine. I mean, people went crazy for them, and I was happy to get a slot to open for their audience, because we got our first crack at them, and we sort of toughened up our music a little bit. I mean, I was really the guy that was writing the heavier rock stuff in Styx. John Serluski co-wrote some stuff with me, and Dennis and I co-wrote some stuff, and I don't know, it all, in hindsight, I mean, I don't know what we could have done differently, and what we did, is we'll be in the rock history books at some point anyway. I love my career. I had fun doing it, and in hindsight, I can smile about it, and I made a few bucks.
Hey, I've got some questions about you as a guitarist, if you don't mind. Tell me about your love affair with the Fender Strat. How did that become your guitar? I know you had like Kramer's and other guitars before. When did you settle on the Strat, and what is it about it that makes you just connect with it so well?
Well, Hendrix, for the most part, every time I saw him, played a Fender Stratocaster. And I had a Gibson Les Paul, and the other guys in Styx, like Tommy plays the Les Paul still, but I've been a Strat guy ever since the influence of James Marshall Hendrix on me. I mean, the cool thing is that not everybody's, we got 2 or 3 guitar players, which at one point we did have 3. You don't want everybody to sound the same. You want let's take advantage of the fact that we can do different. If you're better at that, do that, or if you've got ideas about how you can make something better by doing something different. Let's evolve and let's grow, which we did. Then Dennis writes a song like "Come Sail Away," which I wasn't sure, but then that were really because of this. I think NASA and whatever, and there were everybody's looking at sending astronauts up into space, and what's going on there. So that was "Come Sail Away" was that fit right into what was going on in the space program.
Now, what about speaker cabinets on stage? I've seen you guys throughout the years kind of move away from that. Do you think that's a common thing with technology? Is that something you stumbled on and enjoyed? Is that like a tech person suggesting and then you try it out?
Well, I mean, when we started out, we were, doing Fender amplifiers, and then I had a distortion box that a guy I went to college with, Dave Yoshinari, who was really a genius circuit kind of guy. He built me this thing, which took on the name Yoshinarator because that was his last name, and it was a great little distortion box, so I had two modes to work with there, and I don't know, the evolution was not immediate. It took definitely a few years for us to sort of absorb everything we needed to and move to a higher level. But ultimately, we're still here.
Tell me real quick about Lawrence and the band. Every time I see you guys, that guy is a maniac on stage. Tell me about him becoming part of Styx for as long as he's been now, and just what his energy is like.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dennis, of course, was a keyboard player in the beginning, and wrote some great songs and sang some great songs. But he was just he just didn't want to tour anymore. He didn't want to be, going from town to town to town to town to town, and he would get a nice check regularly from his songwriting, and so I don't know. We just when we Kiss opened for us, but we had no great big staging. I had a twin reverb on a folding chair, and those guys had giant stacks of Marshalls. So they sort of had a big influence on us, at least in terms of what the stage should look like. And so there was times when we learned a lot of lessons from them, and I think they learned a few lessons from us. And Gene is really a bright guy, and I didn't really get to know any of the other guys very much, but Gene Simmons, he's a talented individual, musically speaking, but he's really got a great sense of show business, and that helped them, and ultimately we were we would tour together, a two or three act package. Maybe someone would open up like, I don't know. We worked very little bit with Aerosmith, once or twice, maybe three times. But Kiss, somehow our management's kind of gelled with them, and so it's the road is long, but it can be great if you can stick with it and evolve, which is what we did. And so I don't know, people want to hear Styx songs. Grand Illusion sold 7 million copies, and that was released in 1977. So talk about the numerology thing, interceding in a way that, well, it's our seventh album. We sold 7 million copies. That's not many bands can say that.
Speaking of Aerosmith, Joey Kramer, drummer, stepped away from the band for a while. His wife had passed away. And you've got Phil Rudd from AC/DC, his partner battling stage 4 cancer. He's taken some time off. How, with your experience and your wife passing the same year as Joey Kramer's, how do you handle, if this is something you can answer, how do you handle the emotions and all that you have to do with that while still being part of a band that's very active in 2022 to 2025? That's a lot.
Yeah, my better half, she traveled a lot with the band. She didn't like staying home by herself. She didn't mind. We had there for a while. We had our own airplane. Well, there was other bands were doing that, and I think it was, well, they got an airplane. We want an airplane. So it was comfortable for the wives to come along in that regard, and ultimately but my wife had a rare underlying illness that ultimately we got properly diagnosed. It took a while, and she she was able to manage it for a number of years after that, but it just eventually she didn't have the energy to be on the road and then doing this, that, and the other thing, and it just it's very sad. But she was at my side for many, many moons, and we met in our early 20s, and it's can't change it, so I just have to cope with it.
Did you have to step away from the band at all, or was there kind of a break, or you're like, guys, not today. I just can't. I've got things I got to take care of. All of this at this moment.
I think everybody has personal crises in your family, and whatever. It may look like there's nothing going wrong on stage, but it's just things happen, and so for me it was she came with quite a bit, but then it was just a little too much, and then we actually I helped start a foundation for her rare illness. It's called porphyria. Acute intermittent porphyria, and it's genetically inborn, and they hadn't really done a tremendous amount of studies, and ultimately she helped them find a way to make it much less difficult and be able to actually cope with that disease. But in the final analysis, she was tired of battling it, and just said, I've seen the world, and I just, I don't have the energy to do anymore.
Well, Circling from Above is the newest album out this year from Styx. It's the Godfather James J.Y. Young, guitarist for the band, live with Loverboy Friday, November 7th here in Idaho. It's great to talk to you today, J.Y. Thank you for the chat and the phone call, and good luck with the continued tour.
Well, thank you very much.